All right. Hello and welcome, everyone. We are excited to have you join us for another Winter Career Quest session. Whether this is your first time joining us or your 50th, we want to thank you for taking the time out to be with us today. Today's session, Interview Tips and Elevator Pitch, features Charter School USA, one of WGU's valued employer partners. My name is Hank. I am an Employee Engagement Manager on the Career and Professional Development team here at WGU. We are thrilled to have Nellie Leon from Charter School USA with us today. She'll be sharing interview tips and strategies that help you ace your next interview and professional career. As professionals, it's effective elevator pitch can help open doors and broaden deeper conversations and help build solid connections within your network. So today we'll learn techniques to help you thrive in your professional journey. It's always a pleasure working with Nellie and learning about the many opportunities her organization has to offer. And with that, I will hand it over to you, Nellie.
Awesome. Thank you very much for welcoming me and providing me the opportunity to present today. And what I'd love to do is I'm going to be sharing right now the PowerPoint presentation. In the meantime, if you can drop in the chat, I see you have an accountant student, but I'd love to hear also a cybersecurity student and anyone else that hasn't chimed in yet. What's your major? And if you've heard of Charter Schools USA before. So in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and share my PowerPoint presentation. And Hank, let me know if you can see the presentation slide.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So I can definitely see the presentation slide. I just can't see all of you. The screen with like the chat has disappeared. So Hank, I'll rely on you to help us in case there's any questions in the chat. And we're gonna go ahead and get started. Feel free to Hank, just interrupt me and say, hey, we have a question, and I'd be happy to definitely answer the question since I can't see the other screen with everyone else.
Sounds good.
If you can please take a moment just to scan the QR code. We'd just love to see who is here today for our records. And like you said, you hear that Hank will be sending out the slides as well. It's going to be a lot of information, but we have an activity planned for you. And so if you can just take a moment to just scan the QR code, let us know, that you're checking in. And if this goes too fast, we'll have the check-in QR code again at the end of the presentation. So has anyone heard about Charter Schools USA? Have you heard about us? Since I can't see the chat, Hank?
Yes, I was going to say, sorry. We have a couple yeses, Hong, Clarissa. So we have two.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, it's good to hear you've heard about Charter Schools USA. For some of you, if you haven't, we were founded in 1997. We're a management company for education, and we manage over 100 charter schools throughout 4 states: in Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Louisiana. Anytime you see a charter school that has, as you can see in the PowerPoint slide, this like quarter-eaten apple logo, that's one of our charter schools. You've probably heard of charter schools in the past, and there's different management companies that manage them. So I work for the company that's Charter Schools USA. I started working here at Charter Schools USA, actually it was last year in October of 2024. And we're headquartered in Fort Lauderdale, so that's where I'm based out of. But we have, like I said, charter schools all throughout our 4 states. And we have over 8,000 employees servicing over 80,000 students. So we have a lot of schools. And for us, charter schools is about putting decisions first So parents and caregivers have the choice if they want to send their school to a child to a charter school that's maybe STEM driven or arts. They have that choice to be able to enroll their child or children in charter schools, and that makes us a little different from the district county schools. Normally, you would have to send your child to a school governed by the zip code, but here, at least in these 4 states, we do have charter schools where caregivers and parents have the choice, right, of where to send their child. We are hiring. I was just talking to Hank about that we are hiring teachers. We are also hiring for HR, accounting, finance, IT positions at our headquarters area here in Fort Lauderdale. We do mostly hire teachers, of course, full-time positions. I was telling Hank we've hired this from July to December of 2025, we had about, I think it was 15 to 17 hires from West Governors University, which is really great. And many of those WGU alumni or recent graduates went into math, English positions. We have elementary positions, middle school positions. Our schools also need administrators. We have a WGU graduate that's an assistant principal that was just hired in 2025 as well. And we also need support staff. So we hire substitute teachers. So if you haven't graduated yet and you're a freshman or sophomore or junior or even senior, you don't have the bachelor's degree yet, but you need to find a part-time job or you want to get experience working in education, we hire part-time substitute teachers. We hire tutors. We hire before and after care workers. So we also have those part-time opportunities available for underclassmen. And I am working right now on our summer 2026 internships. We will have most likely an accounting, finance, and HR intern positions for our Fort Lauderdale headquarters here. It's a summer position. They are paid and they are paid competitively. Funny enough, one of our FAU interns from Florida Atlantic University last summer, she got hired after her internship onto a temporary position at our headquarters, and now she's in a full-time role with HR. So I also am managing the student teaching internship for academic credit. So if you're an education major and you need to do a student teaching internship or field experience, I also manage that internship piece. And I just wanted to kind of do an elevator pitch of just what Charter Schools USA is before we go into the elevator pitch and actual interview skills, just so you have some context of where I'm coming from. I did want to share also, I worked in career services at Florida International University for several years, and I worked in career services at DeVry University. So my background is working in career services, like what Hank and his team does, helping students find jobs and internships. So I'm really excited to be here to be able to talk to you about how to prepare for interviewing. And before I do that, I'm just going to do a few more another last minute pitch on our company. We do have a competitive package for salaries and wages for teachers. We are a pay for performance company. So if you meet your milestone goals, schools, teachers, administrators are paid for performance with bonuses. We have the medical benefits, vision, dental. We have 401k retirement plans. We have free before and after care for children of our employees, paid holidays. We also offer a pathway to professional certificate for non-education majors that want to become teachers. That's paid for by our charter schools. So we have a lot of different benefits available, and of course paid time off. And if you're a teacher, you also not only get paid time off, but also the summer, Thanksgiving, holiday and spring breaks. So as I transition into interviewing skills and elevator pitch, did we have any questions in the chat or comments?
Yeah, so a few other people joined in, said that they have heard of Charter School USA. One person mentioned that they have a background, and Moesha says she has a background both in IT and teaching. I taught STEM in high school for 3 to 4 years. Um, yes, so no other addition.
Awesome. Awesome. Actually, it's so funny because we had a few months ago, they were seeking a IT teacher, a technology teacher, believe it or not. And right now, I think one of our schools is looking for a robotics teacher. That's more engineering focused, but also would include some IT as well. But see, yeah, that's awesome that you brought that up because there is an assumption that mostly you have to have an education degree to become a teacher, or if you're interested in working in an education setting. And if you ask many of the teachers at the schools you went to or where your children are based out of, you'll find that many of them don't have education degrees. They have all different types of degrees. And what they did was get their teacher certification to be able to teach. So thank you for sharing that, Hank, and thank you also to the student. So what are we going to do today? As we transition to this piece, we're going to be talking about the interview process. And what does that look like? And, what are some of the formulas that you're going to be learning today on how to ace the elevator pitch, how to ace behavioral questions, and then also just learning the strategies, right? Interviewing is scary, it's intimidating. It could be your first interview, or you could be, have a whole career and maybe you've worked at a place for a few years and you have to interview again because you want to change jobs. And it's scary to interview. So I kind of just want to hear from the chat. Um, have any of you interviewed before? Just simple question. Have you had an interview before?
So yes, had an interview. Rebecca, yes.
Awesome. Okay, so you have experience interviewing. So what we're going to do is, though, we're going to look at, your interview experience that you have. How can we take it to the next level and level up? So, but before we start that, Hank, would you be able to play this video for us? And I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing because I.
So, you want your job? What do you do? Me and they have me hunter. Me all together. You hunt together. They just many men. So, they will say us have it. Say your more time. Hunter? Maybe get it? Why you leave that truck? That's not that. You need to jump it bigger. How long you with that truck? 10 moon. 10 moon? Me hear you have to do them. Me hear you leave and go travel around playing with friends. Me too. Me don't try to chase the truck. Me just want it done. Me guys just see to me. Sorry. Güzel. Güzel.
Has anyone seen this video before? Does it remind you of any, no, does it remind you of any maybe interviews that you've had that you've said, oh my gosh, how would you have answered that question differently? So what we're going to do is, I'm seeing, no, I haven't. No, I think it's the funniest video ever because they do have questions there, right? How long have you been with the company? Oh, well, I heard about the boss that you weren't there that long. What are you planning to do in the future, right? So it's not so different of what we're going to be learning today. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again. Give me a moment. No, where is my, see if it'll allow me to, give me a moment. For some reason, it's not wanting to pick up the,
Try adding it now.
oh, there it is. Yep. Thank you. Okay, so why am I talking to you today about Charter Schools USA and interviewing skills? Well, the reason is that at least with our company and just nationwide, globally wide, there is a teacher shortage, and so, you know, there's a lot of job openings. You've probably heard of districts having job freezes right now. And the competition, you know, in terms of looking for teaching positions is, there's a lot of jobs out there for teaching positions. But if you're looking for other types of positions at other industries, you'll find that competition is fierce. This is just a statistic from 2024 that from Forbes, that while job requisitions are basically the job descriptions, the job openings. They grew by 7%. This was in 2024. Applications skyrocketed by 31%. And like I said, you're right, competition has become fierce, and we're seeing that up until now through 2026. I can share with you, I was doing a job search in 2024, and I was working at the same time, and I noticed that the job opportunities started to drop in a bit of a manner, and then I would just see the increase of applicants skyrocketing, and that has increased in terms of where we are today. So I'm curious to know from all of you, this is a very common interview question. What are your skills? If you can drop in the chat, what are some of skills that you believe that you have? And I'll have Hank just share with me as you're dropping your comments. What are your skills?
You got organization skills. That's dropped in there. I know me personally, communication, Daisy, communication skills.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so those are really great examples. And the National Association of Colleges and Employers, NACE, it's a national professional association that I know Hank and his team are very familiar with, that I you know, lived by this when I worked in career services, and I still live by this working now in talent acquisition, is that this organization, Association NACE, every year they survey hundreds of employers to find out what are the skills that they want, right? What are the strengths, skills? And this has been the reoccurring in the past 2 years, the skills that employers want in you as a candidate. You mentioned communication skills, critical thinking, right? Problem solving, the work ethic, the professionalism piece. Are there any skills that you see here that you have? So I'm going to give you an opportunity to see if you have some of these skills that employers are seeking. You can drop that in the chat.
We had another response in the chat from Moesha. My skills include being a fast learner of new technology, as well as translating high technical jargon into language that upper management and the C-suite can understand for business impact.
Absolutely, Moesha. Digital technology, you were the one that mentioned that you had that experience with education and technology. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be a technical expert, right? To know coding and all these things. For example, in my field, in Hank's field, I'm in HR, career services, education. Even knowing Microsoft Office, Word, Excel, right? PowerPoint, Canva, when you're creating things. I'm usually using Canva all the time. But just being an expert of technology within your area of your industry is super critical. Equity and inclusion, being able to play in the sandbox with different types of people, not just colors, but languages, of different places. So teamwork, collaboration. So as we're talking through interviewing, practicing elevator pitch, I want you to, even if you can, take a picture of this, because I'm going to ask you to practice, write the elevator pitch, and throw into your conversation some skills that you're really great at. So take a second to take a picture of this. You know, it's not always easy to think, oh my gosh, what am I good at? It does take thought. Think of, you know, what are your grades? Like, what are you doing really well in your grades? What have your teachers told you? Maybe your jobs, what have your supervisors told you that you're really good at? And so I want you to kind of find that within you, process it as we go into the activity in a few minutes. I also want to share with you, since most of you have had an interview, I try to make it less intimidating for students and people, even though I know it's hard myself to say this, but it isn't a conversation. It's a conversation between you and your potential company that's going to hire you. It's basically a conversation to help that company, that hiring manager or that recruiter understand, what are your skills? What are you good at? What has been your experience? You will be the only one to be able to sell yourself, to brand yourself to a company. And you do this even before they get to see you in an interview. If you even get to an interview, right? They see it through your social media. They see it in your resume. By the time that you've been called in for an interview, it's because, okay, you've got the experience, you have the credentials. Now, can you speak? Can you communicate? Can you express examples of what you did? And that's one of the other first impressions, right? Is that you'll do in an interview. Really important. Again, these are just some quick basic things, just like in your schoolwork, in a research project that you have to research your sources. You have to do the same thing before you go into an interview. Even when you apply to the job and you submit that resume, understand, what is the company's mission? What are the values? What's the product that they are selling? What have they been doing in the news? Study that job description that you've applied to, and know forwards and backwards your resume. Your resume is going to be looked at. There will be questions from that resume. I used to, when I worked at other jobs where I used to hire people from my department, yeah, I would look at that resume and I would ask, hey, you put here that you had a capstone project on robotics. Can you tell me about this project? Or I'd see something about volunteering. I'd say, can you tell us about this volunteering experience? And when you go, you know, you have different types of interviews. You have virtual interviews, you have phone interviews, you have interviews that are video interviews where it's just you talking to a screen for like 30 seconds, right? And then you have in-person interviews. You have to practice, utilize your career services team with Hank and their team to practice interview questions. And always just also, you know, just have questions prepared ahead of time if you get called for an interview. I will share with you here at Charter Schools USA. Normally what happens is I have a team that we work with of recruiters. They are the front line. So if you apply for a job, let's say, and they say, you know what, let's go ahead and do a screening with them. The recruiters are the first line of defense in terms of where they're going to call you to screen you. And it would take maybe 20 to 30 minutes. They're going to say, hi, we saw that you applied, and they'll ask you a few questions. For me, that was my experience. I first got screened by a recruiter. now on the team that I work with. And then I got an interview with the hiring manager and this was all virtual. And then my last interview was in person with the whole leadership team. So I had to go to the company in person, sit with the leaders. And so you're going to come across different interviews and you want to practice, right? Those different types of interview formats. Here I gave you an example of our company website. If you were to be applying for a position with us, I would direct you to our website, Charter Schools USA, and I would say go into our careers page about us, about CSUSA, and look at what our vision is, what our mission, our promise, our values. Look at, see what our schools are. Where do we have charter schools located and what are our education models? Here you can see, I can tell you the recruiters and the hiring managers. I've seen their interview questions. I've heard their interview questions. I use those interview questions. A lot of those interview questions are solely based around our mission and our values. We ask questions about purpose and integrity and grit and passion and the mission. Like simply, why are you applying to Charter Schools USA? Does your thought process match up to wanting to support education, right? So I want you to take a picture of this. Here, I'm going to go ahead and I want you to take a picture of this screen, and we're going to go over the formula. This is the formula to the most commonly asked interview question. It is called, usually always in interviews, they'll ask you, tell me about yourself. So I want to, in the chat, if you can, have you been asked, tell me about yourself in interviews? I kind of want to find out from you in the chat. How many of you have been asked that question? Tell me about yourself.
We have no in the chat. Yes, definitely.
Okay, this is not a trick question. This is a very calculated question because as you can see here in the formula, it's called NEWS, N-E-W-S. And the way that you answer the question when they ask you, tell me about yourself, it's the 60-second elevator pitch, is you're going to want to start out with your name. I know it sounds kind of redundant, and I know you're virtual or on the phone or in person, but you always want to say, what is your name? You want to talk about your education experience, right? Like, for example, and I have the example here. Are you a junior at West Governors University? Are you a sophomore at University of South Florida in Tampa? What's the degree that you're working on? Maybe you have a certificate or you're working towards a certification as well. Maybe you have a minor. The work experience piece, right? What have you done maybe as a part-time job, a full-time job? Maybe you haven't worked before, but you did volunteering, or you're working on your school projects, or you're a member of a club. So when they ask you, tell me about yourself, what the hiring managers want to know is, can you articulate, can you communicate who you are in terms of professionally, your education experience, your work experience, and then the skill set? Like, that's the pitch, right? So why are you applying to the position? The skills that you've gained, which are maybe leadership, teamwork, communication, are a match to the position that you've applied to. So I'm going to give you a moment to absorb this. Take a picture of it. I know Hank sent out an email yesterday for those participants here for the session to draft your elevator pitch also ahead of time. If you didn't get a chance, that's okay. But we're going to be doing that today and practicing it out loud. So I'm prepping you now for our activity so that we can do that. So I'm going to give you a moment, about a minute or two. I want you to, draft your elevator pitch using the news formula. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to the sample so you can use this as an example and write it in your own words. Draft your elevator pitch. Let me give you about 2 minutes to do that. And Hank, let me know if there's any questions or comments in the chat.
Yes, I'll do so. So take a few minutes, like Nelly said, just go ahead and draft up a short response into an elevator pitch and give you a great opportunity to practice your elevator pitch live, or if you want to drop it in the chat, that works as well. So we'll take a few minutes to do so.
And I have the timer going, so you've got 2 minutes. Okay, I'm going to give you 15 more seconds. Okay. So before we practice, I just want to ask you, how did it feel right now to draft this? Did you feel challenged? Was it nerve-wracking? Was it simple to do?
I'm still waiting for a response in the chat, but I know when I started to look over it again, because clarifying, we got clarifying. We do have a response in the chat as well from Moesha. And if you want me to read it, I can do that now.
Well, let's go ahead. And so what we're going to do is, we're going to go ahead and practice the elevator pitch. Let's do it now. If you all feel comfortable, you're more than welcome to unmute, or you can just, state it in the chat.
Yeah, so if you dropped it in the chat and you want to come off mute, you have the opportunity to do so at this time. If not, feel free, I will go ahead and read that out for you. All right, so looks like we still just have one in the chat. So what I'll do is I'll kick it off with the first one. Moesha is brave to enter their elevator pitch. So I'm trying this news elevator pitch. So my name is Moesha. I am a senior at WGU, completing my bachelor's degree in cybersecurity. My work experience includes 2 years STEM teaching experience, 2 years as a system administrator, 1 year as a data analyst, and currently serving as an IT contractor. Throughout these experiences, I have developed leadership, teamwork, and critical thinking skills, which is great.
Awesome, bravo. Oh, I don't know if you can do emojis or, reactions on the chat, but that is really good. Nice job, Moesha. Okay. Would anybody else like to unmute and share their elevator pitch with us?
Right, we have Daisy who put her elevator pitch into the chat, and I can definitely read that one as well. Hello, my name is Daisy Flores. I have a bachelor's in business management from WGU. My work experience includes 4 years in account payable, as well as additional 4 years as a supervisor in different organizational departments. Through these experiences, I have gained leadership, teamwork, communication, and accountability.
Okay.
Thank you,
Really
Daisy.
nice. Ooh, really nice. Anybody else would like to participate and share?
I don't think we have anyone else, but feel free to drop it in there. Oh, someone is trying to unmute. Let's see if we can get them muted. Give me 1 second. There you go.
Can you hear me?
Oh,
Yes.
All right, I guess I'll give it a go.
Go for it.
Hey, so my name is Moshe. I'm a senior at WGU. I am completing my bachelor's degree in cybersecurity. My work experience includes 2 years of STEM teaching, as well as 2 years as a system administrator, 1 year as a data analyst, and I'm currently working as an IT contractor. Throughout these experiences, I've developed leadership, teamwork, and critical thinking skills.
Awesome, Moshe. Aw, you did it. Oh my goodness. And you had written it in the chat as well, right? So I have a question for you, Moshe. What was more difficult, writing it down or saying it out loud?
Probably saying it out loud.
Well, bravo to you. Congratulations, because it is not easy, right? Having to give your elevator pitch in front of strangers. And you've taken the first step towards just getting stronger and practicing. And that's what it is. You have to practice out loud your elevator pitches, everyone. Trust me, it's going to get easier the next time again that you have to practice it out loud. Like, you're going to be going to career fairs, you're going to be interviewing. You never know who you're going to meet. That's why it's called an elevator pitch, because you never know who you're going to meet in an elevator, right? Or even maybe while you're waiting for line to get lunch. So it's, what I find is when I do these virtual sessions, the students love and do a great job of drafting their elevator pitches, putting it in the chat. And when we ask for volunteers to share, it's just that fear of unmuting and then verbally saying it out loud. So congratulations. Thank you for sharing your elevator pitch. We know it's not easy. We'll have just maybe a few minutes afterwards if you also want to practice it out loud to the rest of you. But thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And so what I would recommend is, as we move to the next slides, is that save your elevator pitch, copy, paste it, and practice it out loud. When you go to networking events, maybe, I know WGU has networking events. They do a bunch of recruitment events that they bring employers and companies. Use that to be able to introduce yourself professionally to hiring managers and recruiters, and when you go on your next interview. So the next thing I want to take a pause. Are there any questions about the elevator pitch? Any questions?
If you don't, you can drop your questions in the chat, or if you would like to come off mute, you can do so as well. You just have to unmute yourself, and you have the ability to do so. So we'll give you a minute or two.
And what I'll do is I'm going to, because I know we're coming off to almost the end of the presentation, but I didn't want to lose sight of a few more things. So the tell me about yourself question is one of the most common interview questions you're going to be asked. Now that you have the formula to be able to answer that question, you are even stronger now as a candidate than you were 15 minutes ago, right? But that's not going to be the only question that's going to be asked of you in an interview or in a just informal setting with maybe somebody that finds you really like an interesting candidate, a strong candidate. So interview questions, these are just a sample of the interview questions. They come in open-ended questions, which are like the tell me about yourself, or questions that ask you, so why did you leave your current position? Or what are your strengths and weaknesses? Then there's behavioral questions, and you've probably heard about these. These are questions that always start with, how do you? Can you describe a? Can you give me an example? Behavioral questions describe like a specific situation, then they want for you to tell the story. Share the story, the example of how did something happen. Like, for example, leadership skills. Tell me your story about an example of your leadership skills. To answer behavioral questions, there's a formula. You may have heard of this. Career Services is notorious for always sharing the STAR formula to students for interview prep, and it's called the STAR method. So just like you have news formula for tell me about yourself, you have STAR formula for behavioral questions. And the STAR formula basically covers your story. The situation, you set the scene. It's like a movie. You set the scene. Where did it take place that you had to provide, the skill of your communication skills? Did it happen at your work with Starbucks? Did it happen in your math class where you had to present a presentation? What was the purpose? What did you have to do? Explain what you did. What was the action? How did you communicate? Did you present? Did you have to verbally communicate it and then have a Canva presentation with, written wise also presented to students on the screen? And then what was the result or the outcome? Here's an example of what a STAR answer would look like. And I'm going to give you a few seconds to digest this. So the situation, the scene was, during the summer, I worked at Starbucks as a barista. The task, I was responsible for serving beverages and food to the customers, and I managed the credit card, credit cash transactions. Action, what did I do? I spoke to customers, I helped them with their food orders, and I collaborated with a team of 4 people to manage the orders. What was the result? Well, I served up to 200 customers during my morning shift, and I managed up to approximately $3,000 in transactions. That is your STAR method, right? Is there anything in particular that you notice about this answer? You can drop it in the chat. What is unique about this answer? What stands out to you? Do we have any comments in the chat?
No comments as yet.
So numbers, I'll help you out. Numbers, right? Look at the numbers, how they quantify this answer. It's like in a resume, when you're writing a resume, they want you to put accomplishments, results. So this is really important, both in interviewing and resume writing, that you write numbers of how much money or how many people did you collaborate with or how many people did you work with, right? It's telling the story. I look at this and I say, oh my gosh, that morning shift for this person is super crazy, super busy, but it tells me they can multitask, they can communicate, they can manage the systems, cash machine, plus all the beverages and understanding all the different products that go into it. And so we won't have time today to practice the STAR formula, but I do want you to definitely use that formula as you apply for jobs or for internships or part-time positions, because that's what's going to help you stand out during interviews. So I'm going to kind of go skip over these because we won't have time to practice the second part, which was the STAR formula. And we've already debriefed a little bit in terms of our chat. So what I do want to leave you with are just a few things. And sorry, I'm going through my other, want to make sure I'm on time with the rest of the slides, is that when you're answering interviewing questions, just make sure that you make eye contact if it's in person or a virtual interview. Avoid slang like crutch words like like. If you talk fast, I know like for second language speakers, I speak English and I speak Spanish, and Spanish is my first language. I can tend to speak very fast, so you want to slow down when you speak. And be positive, smile. Even when you have a phone interview, I would practice with students over the phone, the interview, and I would say, I don't hear you smiling through the phone. Like you want to smile as you're talking over the phone because they can hear that energy. Few more tips is just make sure that before you go into an interview that you've lined up questions for that interview to ask the hiring manager. So for example, can you talk about the company culture, what that looks like? Can you tell me what the typical day for this position? I see the job description, but what does that really mean in terms of a typical day? What are the challenges for this role faces? What do you offer in terms of training development, professional development, so I can strengthen my role? On the day of the interview, whether it's a virtual interview, a phone interview, an in-person interview, a video interview, always arrive early, 15 minutes early at least. Like I said, smile, maintain that eye contact. Posture is super important. Don't be slouching. Posture, upright, sit upright, shake hands, dress professional. Bring that resume with you. Offer the resume to the interviewer. Take advantage of the resources your Career and Professional Development Office at WGU offers. Go to their website, make an appointment with their career advisors. Hank and his team member are here today. Send them a message right now. Say, hey, how can I make an appointment? Use Handshake to make your appointments, to look up networking events. Use Big Interview. Big Interviews, I haven't used that specific platform for interviewing. I've used other interview platforms when I was working in career services. And these are really helpful because sometimes they're just 24 hours, 7 days accessible to a student at 2 in the morning practicing their interviews. AI, it's all AI focused as well. And just don't forget to say thank you after the interview. Be grateful. Be appreciative for the time the hiring managers took to interview you. Ask for next steps. Like, what are the next steps? Can I reach out to you and say thank you or follow up with questions? So always send an email and a thank you. For those of you that joined us a little bit after the session started, please check in so that we know who came to today's session. If you can quickly just scan your phone, and I'm going to show you my contact information in the next slide. and see if anyone has questions or comments, and we can open up the floor for that.
And we do have an elevator pitch in the chat as well. So additional one where you were speaking that was dropped. So definitely want to get to that before our time runs out.
Oh yes, please share.
Yes. All right. So Clarissa, do you want to come off mute or would you like me to read it? Which I can do either way. Okay, so for sake of time.
I could go ahead and I could read it.
There we go. Good.
Thank you. My name is Clarissa Valenzuela. I'm working on my bachelor's degree in business management, building on developing my leadership and professional skills. My work experience includes 19 years of, supervisory experience in a loan center environment. I've led teams, supported operations, attained strong leadership and communication while maintaining professionalism. In addition, I volunteer at El Paso Animal Service Center, strengthening my teamwork, communication, and empathy skills.
Wow, that is awesome! Woohoo! Go ahead.
You know, I just want to comment on these formulas. Really, just even writing that has managed my anxiety, because this question, I've always, okay, am I saying too much? Am I rambling? Am I not saying too much? So these formulas have really helped me. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, that is awesome. And that's why we use these formulas, right? Because it is nerve-wracking to go on. I mean, Hank, you know, do you get nervous about interviewing?
Oh, yes. It's one of those things that you don't practice all the time, but you should practice because it keeps you ready, it keeps you engaged in having those conversations.
So Clarissa, you know, that's why we do this. It doesn't matter how old you are, how many years of experience you've had. It's just you're talking to strangers and you're putting yourself vulnerable, right, out there. And so that's what these formulas do. They just help guide you to stay in sync. You know, we know the tell me about yourself question is no more than a minute. Don't ramble. That's where it gets you, right? So that's why it's very succinct, even with the STAR formula. Write it out, the answers using the STAR formula. And the STAR formula should take about maybe 2 minutes, maybe, in describing your story, right? But I'm so glad to hear you found this a really valuable exercise. And, you know, Clarissa, Moshe, I hope I'm saying your name right, Moshe. Everyone that participated today, great job. And like I said, you're a day C2. You're taking it to the next level now. You are more competitive than your peers.
And then Moshe had another question in the chat. How can I condense my elevator pitch without compromising the effectiveness? I believe the part about work experience can be significantly shortened.
Yes, so what you're going to find is you don't want to be you don't want to be robotic about it. So it's about practicing. You're going to have to practice it out loud, tweak it as you're talking. You're going to find that you might, you know, just summarize and say, well, you know, I've had my experience with the STEM teaching experience that was 2 years, and I had also 2-year systems admin. And then also I was an analyst, and I currently serve as an IT contractor. So you can summarize things because once the hiring manager has that resume, they can see what you've done. What they're doing is they're testing, can you communicate? If I'm going to put you in front of clients and customers, I need to see what's on your resume, that you can verbally communicate that, and that you can help customers. You can articulate, you can speak professionally, you can solve problems as you're answering, right? A STAR formula that shows, okay, you know what? Yeah, they've got the capability. If they're answering this interview question like this to solve a problem, that's how they're going to be able to solve problems at our company. It's practice. It's all, I can tell you, my elevator pitch morphs every 6 months. It morphs also.
Right. I think we are at time, so I definitely want to be mindful of everyone's time, but I want to give you a minute to have any closing remarks, Nelly, from the session.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. Oh, I'm like, oh, finally, okay. I'm finding all the emojis and reactions on the chat to say thank you. But if I can leave you just with a few things, is that, you know, it's fearful to go interview, to even apply for a job or a part-time job or an internship. But you got to jump off the cliff. Like I would tell my students, you have the parachute now. You have the parachute. You got the formulas. Now prepare, write them out, practice them. Make sure to use career services, practice with them, use their resources, and then jump off the cliff. You'll be fine. You've got the parachute full of your resources. That's all it is. Just practice, practice, practice.
All right, well, thank you. And I'd like to thank you, Nelly, for joining us today. You shared a lot of great information and resources to help students and alum prep for interviewing and mastering their elevator pitch. Please be on the lookout for that recording via email that will be sent out here in the next 24 hours. And take a minute or two to fill out the survey, which there will be a link in the chat, but also you will have a link. I'll follow up in that recording with links to Charter School USA and a couple other items that Nelly will be sharing as well. But thank you again for joining us today, and be on the lookout for other upcoming Career Quest sessions throughout the month. And have a great day, everyone. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.